Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here taking a look at the feature race on the first Saturday of the official Saratoga meet. It is, of course, the Grade 1 Diana going the 1.125 distance on the turf for fillies and mares. And speaking of the Saratoga meet kicking off this week, you do want to get your past performances set, and you can do that by heading over to the DRF store. Check out our Saratoga packages for the full meet. Got a couple packages that you can check out, save money with both of them, but if you buy that package, that also includes all 40 days of PPs, all 40 days of clock reports, as well as the betting strategies for every Saturday. You can save up to 72% of the value on all of those things individually, bundling them in the package. So check out both of those packages at shop.drf.com. Mike, only a six-pack in this Diana, but we do have some real quality in this field, as obviously the current leader of the division, She Feels Pretty, landing here. Plenty of other horses in this group with Grade 1 credentials on the way in.
Yeah, it's a good field for sure, but make no mistake about who the horse to beat is. It's the horse that's drawn on the rail, who's just been really good already, a multiple Grade 1 winner. She gets to go back a little bit in distance here. I think that's probably a good thing for her. To me, she's just way the horse to beat, as good as some of these other fillies and mares are.
Yeah, and it seems like her two main rivals on paper are both coming out of the Chad Brown barn. No surprise, Chad Brown has had an absolute stranglehold on the Diana over the past decade or so. He has won 8 of the last 9 editions of this race, but it is his former protege, Cherie DeVaux, who's going to be trying to stop that momentum, sending out the favorite She Feels Pretty here. To get a sense of where these horses might be placed in the early stages of this race, let's check out the Timeform US pace projector for this Diana. And Mike, the number 6, Be Your Best, likely to go to the front end. She's got a lot of early speed. She's run some of her best races when they've ridden her aggressively. The number 2, Schwazia, she's got some good tactical speed, but I would imagine that her connections would be fine to have her take up a spot in the pocket.
Yeah, that's how I feel like it's probably going to play out too. Be Your Best, just, she's at her best on the lead. They will come out of there running, and I think they will make the lead in here. Schwazia is going to get a good spot behind her. And the other thing that it's just, worth pointing out is not only is She Feels Pretty drawn really well to the rail here, but she's super handy and super tactical, and she's not going to be compromised by pace.
This Grade 1 Diana is the DRF Saturday race of the day, and with this being the race of the day, you can get free past performances for this race. Just head on over to that race of the day page when you've created a free account at DRF.com, and you can get access to free PPs for every single race of the day, including this day Diana on Saturday at Saratoga. Let's go through this field of 6 from the rail out, beginning with that morning line favorite, the number 1, She Feels Pretty, and we'll take a look at her most recent start when she won yet another Grade 1 race in the New York on Belmont Stakes weekend. And Mike, she's got to work a little harder for this victory than she had in some of her prior graded stakes wins, but this was a boggy turf course. She was outside most of the way and felt like she was facing a rival who just really loved the going last time.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it does. It feels like, as hard as she did, you can see her having to sort of get down to business there in the final furlong to get the job done. So I guess you could concern yourself with whether or not that really took a lot out of her. Because if nothing else, David, I mean, that turf course, as you mentioned, was a total bog. I mean, look at the final time of the race, 2 minutes and change from either. They're only about 9 seconds off the track record there. So, she had to work hard over a very, very trying turf course. And so I guess you could say, maybe it took something out of her, but I guess if you're going to bet on one of the other horses, you better hope it took something out of her because she's really good.
And she has more than her fair share of visually impressive victories under her belt. That just wasn't the case last time. But she was wide most of the way, no cover for a lot of that trip. She's been successful pulling that kind of trip in the past, Mike, but at this level, you hope she can save a little bit more ground. And drawing the rail here, she's probably going to have the opportunity to do that. And as you said, she is just very much the horse to beat in this race. The number 2, Schwazia, you're kind of wondering which version of her is going to show up because she looked really good when she made her U.S. debut in the Jenny Wiley at Keeneland back in April, got a good trip that day, and maybe should have been disqualified. There was some bumping in the deep stretch, or rather, I should say she cut off a rival in deep stretch, we'll get to in just a little bit. But Mike, she still ran really well to earn the victory that day. Completely different story in the Just a Game last time, but I think that's a performance you're supposed to be a little bit forgiving of for a few reasons. You mentioned the boggy turf course. They also shipped her back overseas between the Jenny Wiley and the Just a Game. And now they've kept her in the U.S. training at Saratoga since that race. So maybe she's set up to run a better race here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like she got a great trip in that race either. I mean, let's be perfectly honest here. I mean, she just sort of got stuck on the outside. Their sires wanted to go forward with her from the outside post, but he could never get over. and she was just stuck on the outside the entire way there. So I'm not going to be too hard on her for that one. I did like her Jenny Wiley, even if you wanted to argue that Excellent Truth maybe ran better than she did. I don't know. I still thought that she ran well. The race that really made me want to like her in here was the race 3 starts back, where she beat Cinderella's Dream going this distance. I thought she ran great that day, David. I don't know if she's going to be able to run it back in here, but if she runs that well in here, she could win this race.
Yeah, and her biggest weapon is that turn of foot, her finishing speed when she gets held up early and can produce that speed at the end of a race. If she rides the pocket here, maybe she gets the kind of trip that can work for her. But as you said, that kind of trip just was not available to her last time, breaking from the outside post. The number 3, Lady Claypool, the connection's coming in from California. They're going to take a shot here, Mike, but she's going to have to run the best race of her career to stack up against a group like this. I mean, she is in a really good form right now. I mean, it's not easy to go from winning a first level allowance race right on through the allowance conditions, tri-graded stakes company, earned a grade 1 placing last time. I mean, she's really overachieved lately, but she's stepping up in class once again here.
I respect that they want to ship her over here and try a really tough race here and do it while she's in really good form, because she is in really good form. I'd like her. I'd be a little more hopeful for her, David, if she had run better in the game last time, because as well as she did to get a grade 1 placing there, that was a wicked pace she had in front of her there, and she never even really made a race of it.
Can the third time in the U.S. be the charm for the number 4, Excellent Truth, who has finished second in 2 Grade 1 races to kick off her 2025 campaign, those 2 starts in North America since being purchased from overseas, switching into the Chad Brown barn. And Mike, she was a little unlucky in both of those races because, as we talked about earlier, I mean, she got cut off in mid-stretch of the Jenny Wiley by Schwazia. Arguably was going to win that race, but would have done so with an absolutely perfect trip. And then last time in the Just a Game, she did get a wider trip than the eventual winner of that race around both turns. So you can make that a minor excuse for her as well. And maybe she's just sitting on her best effort yet now, third off the layoff.
Yeah, I totally understand anybody who wants to look at her the way that you just laid it out, David. And I wouldn't argue too hard. I'm still not sure how much I like either of her 2 races once they got her over here. She was fine in the Jenny Wiley, obviously, and maybe would have won. But that race still doesn't do a lot for me. She was wider than dynamic pricing last time. I still think dynamic pricing ran way better than she did in there, and would rather have that horse.
Yeah, Mike, I feel like we went through the same process with this horse based on watching the trips and everything about the last couple of races. She's kind of supposed to run better in here and maybe get the job done, but they just love to bet this horse. And I feel like she's going to be a short price once again. And I didn't really want to take a short price on her, especially watching back the last race in the Just a Game, which we can take a look at the stretch run of here as we move on to the winner of that race, the number 5, Dynamic Pricing. Because yes, Dynamic Pricing saved more ground in the early stages and angled out at the top of the stretch inside of Excellent Truth, who had to get pushed out by her stablemate when she was making that move. But Mike, I still felt like Dynamic Pricing showed a lot of grit to run away from Excellent Truth in the late stages of this race. And maybe that she really loved the boggy turf course this day, but you could also make the case that she's just a horse that has really taken a step forward from her 3-year-old to 4-year-old season, because she also ran way better than it looks too back in the bogey.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, if you want to give Excellent Truth a little bit extra credit for being 1 path wider in the Just a Game, that's your prerogative. To me, that was no excuse at all for Excellent Truth in that race. These 2 horses moved in tandem around the final turn. They were on even terms at the top of the stretch, and Dynamic Pricing was just better. I know it was on a different turf course, a yielding, boggy turf course, so maybe that has something to do with it, but I like your other point a lot better, David. This filly was really good as a 3-year-old, and so far, based on 2 starts at 4, she's even better now.
Mike, in a lot of ways, the key to this race is going to be the number 6, Be Your Best, and how fast she goes on the front end. Because I would imagine they're going to the lead, but are they going to try to slow it down up front, or are they going to ride her like they did last time in the game layout in Southern California? We'll take a look at the stretch run of that race, and she just ran this field off its feet. I mean, she did get some pressure from her main rival in this race, No-Show Sammy Joe, who was ridden aggressively to try to turn it into a match race, but it was only a match race for about 6 furlongs because Be Your Best flipped that rival away on the far turn, opened up at the quarter pole, and there was just no catching her. And it felt like allowing her to use her speed every step of the way really brought the best out of her. And I'll be interested to see if they're looking to go to the half in 46, 47 here, or if they're going to try to slow it down and go 49 to the half and sprint home, because I'm not sure which strategy would really work better for her.
I'm not either. I would like to. I feel like maybe their best chance is to try to open up on this field a little bit and see just see if it plays as well over the Saratoga turf course, which obviously is a lot different than the one at Santa Anita. But she was impressive last time. She did a lot of hard work in that race and just sort of kept going. I think the the sticking point for me, David, and as you know, I've been a big fan of this horse for a long time, and I really appreciate the job that Safi's done with her just to get her really good again this year. But man, it's hard to go back and watch that Jenny Wiley and want to bet her against some of these horses, because I don't know about you, I didn't see a big excuse for her in there, and she just looked like she just could not go with these horses.
I came to that same conclusion, feeling with Jenny Wiley was the key recent race in her past performances, and I agree. She just wasn't good enough that day. I will say they might not be able to stop her from running off in the early stages, because I've watched some of her recent workouts. I know they look slow and unassuming on paper. Her exercise rider has almost been unable to contain her in the morning. She wants to do so much. So she's definitely is a horse that is feeling fresh coming into this Diana. Let's go to picks for this DRF Saturday race of the day. And Mike, I see you're not trying to beat the favorite. She feels pretty.
I'm just going to take her. I just think she's too good for these horses, David. And I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm going to have a lot of money in against her here. I just think she might be too good. I'm a huge dynamic pricing fan. I got her in there. I thought about it. I'm not going to put her on top in this race, though. I think you got an interesting horse on top, too. I threw your horse in the mix.
Yeah, I have She Feels Pretty third, but don't get me wrong. I've got the utmost respect for her. I just feel like this is a way tougher race than she's been in through her recent victories in graded stakes company. And she's going to get bet pretty hard in here just based on the string of victories. So I wanted to go towards the value. I put the number 2 Schwazia on top. I'm kind of hoping they can keep a lid on Be Your Best, because if they go too fast up front and this turns into a test of stamina, I'm not sure it's going to work for my top pick in here. But if they slow it down a little bit and she's able to utilize her excellent turn of foot, I think that she's got a chance in here at a price. But I'm also going to use dynamic pricing. I agree with some of the things we were saying, Mike, that she just might be a horse that's really finding herself during her 4-year-old season. So 2-5-1-4 for me and 1-5-2-6 for Mike in the DRF Saturday race of the day, the Grade 1 Diana. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.